attorney Jed Dietrich is back, and he comes back with really good questions, Jed, because you know there's an awful lot of people out there who probably feel like, you know what, I really could use a personal injury attorney, but first things first, I don't know how to pay one. I don't know, I mean, obviously they don't know the ins and outs of filing a suit and how this is going to be paid. That might keep a lot of people from calling someone, even if they have a very valid suit.
That's the first thing that shouldn't keep them from calling a personal injury lawyer, because we work on a contingency arrangement, which means that unless the case settles for money, we don't get paid. So we work for free on the case, and I'm happy to do that, and that's the standard in my industry. The other thing that's very important, Linda, is that we generally work for the same fees. So you can hire a lawyer who just got out of law school to handle your personal injury case, whether it's a car accident or a slip and fall or a nursing home negligence case, and you generally pay that attorney a third, and the disbursements come off the top, and then you pay a third. Or you can hire a lawyer with a great track record of many million and multi-million-dollar cases, and that lawyer who's got a great track record is going to charge you the same amount as the lawyer who just got out of law school. So you want to be very careful when you or your family members are choosing an attorney, because it doesn't cost any more to hire a lawyer with a great track record. So if you're gonna go out and get a product, buy a product, and it doesn't cost you anymore, why wouldn't you get the best lawyers? You need to do your research, your homework before you hire a personal injury lawyer.
And we'll take calls if you have a question. This is a great time, 644-9840. So does this mean, Jed, that if somebody comes to an attorney and says, look, I believe I have a case here, and they spell it all out, and the attorney says, all right, let's start working together. First things first, we need a check right up front. Should that be a red flag?
Absolutely. That shouldn't take place. The only area of the law that may take place in my field, the personal injury field, is the medical malpractice area. And the reason that is a part of that particular field of the personal injury world is because the medical malpractice cases are very difficult cases to bring. And obviously, the attorney will work for free, but then there are other costs associated with bringing a medical malpractice case. The problem is doctors in Western New York don't like to testify against their doctor brethren, so it's difficult to get a doctor in Western New York to testify against a doctor in Buffalo. So what you need to do is you have to hire a doctor outside of Western New York, perhaps in Virginia or downstate, to come to Western New York to prove the case, because you can't go to court with a medical malpractice case without proving that the doctor committed some form of negligence, and those are difficult cases to bring forth. But the important point that I wanted to again stress is that it doesn't cost anything to hire a personal injury lawyer in Western New York. I work on a contingency fee arrangement. There's absolutely no shame whatsoever. If you're rear-ended and you're injured, there's no shame in hiring a lawyer. You need a lawyer to protect your rights. I mean, I tell every client who calls me, if insurance companies were fair and they cut you a check for what was fair and reasonable, I would not have a profession. I mean, people would not call me. The problem is, frequently folks will call me and say, my own insurance company is supposed to pay my medical bills, my no-fault company, and they have sent me to their doctor who says that I can work and I don't need any more treatment, and I can't work, and my doctor says I can't work. What do I do? And very frequently they won't call a lawyer right away, but at that juncture I'll get involved and I'll assist and attempt to overturn the no-fault denial and to get the insurance company to pay the medical bills and the lost wages, and then we start talking about the case in chief, which is the case against the person who caused the injury, the person who rear-ended you, or the person who caused you to have some type of an injury as a result of a car accident, or perhaps an injury because of a slip and fall. We're in Western New York, it's the winter time. There's an obligation upon landowners, people who own properties, business keepers, to keep their walkways in a safe condition. I mean, we live in Western New York. It's a great day to be a Buffalonian in Western New York. The sun is shining here today, but we've got a storm coming in the next couple of days, and every business owner, including myself and my family, we own a family business, we get out there and we train our staff to make sure the salt is there, and we clear the walkway so that the folks who come in have a safe ability to get into our properties and our businesses. And living in Western New York, I think it's a great place to live. The people in Western New York are the best. I mean, you can't beat the people in Western New York. I was out in Utah for some time, and I spent some time practicing law there and practicing law in Buffalo, and my focus was always in Buffalo, but it allowed me to see the folks there and the folks here, and I like the people there, but you can't beat the people in Buffalo. I mean, the Buffalonians are great.
I don't think you'll have an argument there. Jed, we have some calls for you. And good morning, and you're welcome to talk with Jed Dietrich this morning. Hello, who's on first?
My name is Clarence.
Go ahead, Clarence, please.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Thank you.
I had an accident at work, and I'd like to know, by going on compensation, can I get a lawyer to look into my case?
That's a great question. And typically, the workers' compensation claims, if you can sue someone besides your employer, let's say, for instance, you're a truck driver and you're driving down the road and you stop at a red light and someone rear ends you in your truck. Your employer's workers' compensation carrier is going to pay for your medical bills and your lost wages, but they didn't do anything wrong. The person who caused your injury was the person who rear-ended you, and then you do have an opportunity to sue that person who's at fault, the person who rear-ended you. That's one example.
How about if if the company didn't have the right equipment for you to work with, and you got hurt because they didn't have the right equipment?
Typically, you cannot sue your own company in that type of a scenario. However, there are other scenarios. Let's say you're a worker and you're delivering goods at a supplier's property or a vendor's property, and the vendor did something and they didn't control the workplace, or something fell on you, and it wasn't your employer who was at fault, it was the vendor or the customer that you were supplying to. Then you could sue those folks. But the best thing to do is to contact your workers' compensation lawyer if you have one. Or you can contact my office at 839-3939, and we can walk you through it, whether you have an injury or you can sue somebody or not. I mean, I give free consultations to everyone who calls my office. I'll sit down with you if I think there's enough of a case. And as usual, I give everybody my cell phone number. I'm available all day long, and you can call my office. It goes right through to my cell phone, and be happy to help you.
Yeah, because at least someone will explain to Clarence why you can or why you can't,
Sure.
and he'll have an understanding of it. Okay, thank you for that call. We're going to move on to another. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, who's this?
This is Carol.
Go ahead, please.
I just have a question. I don't know if it's a malpractice suit or if it's considered a defective part. I've got a broken screw in my neck. The doctor done my surgery 2 years ago, January, and just about 8 months ago when I rehabbed my x-rays done, they found that the screw had broke. I was told by a local attorney that I've got a malpractice suit plus a defective part, but he couldn't help me at the time.
Yeah, the concern with your problem, ma'am, is what are your damages? You've got a broken screw in your neck. It sounds like you didn't know about that broken screw until you went in to see the doctor for a regular checkup. If that broken screw isn't causing you any additional pain or discomfort that we can pin on the broken screw, then you don't really have a claim that's worthwhile to pursue. And again, because we work on a contingency arrangement, Linda, we're in it with you. I mean, if you've got a claim and it's valuable, we're gonna race after it and pursue it with vigor. If you don't have a claim, even though there might be someone at fault for your injuries, we can't take that case because there's no ability to help you. And, and I say, folks call me all the time and say, I've got a lawyer now, I don't know if you can help me. The first thing I say to them is, I don't want to become involved unless I get all the information from you and I feel confident that I can help you.
Yes.
Because I don't want someone to come to me after they're disgruntled with another lawyer or talking to someone else and say that all the lawyers are the same. They didn't give me the time of day. I mean, I want to try to improve our profession so that folks feel a little bit better about the lawyers they deal with.
Not to say that you can't switch lawyers midstream, because we've talked about that
Absolutely
before.
you can. You can switch lawyers midstream, and it doesn't cost you any more money to do it. And if you're disgruntled with your lawyer, or you have a lawyer who's not returning your phone calls, it's important to try to contact that lawyer. If you can't work it out, then you're absolutely entitled to talk to somebody else.
All right, Jed, we're going to try and squeeze one more call in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I had a cyst removed, and the following day I went and had to go in the hospital, and I had the skin-eating disease all of a sudden. And then I ended up 5 days in the hospital and almost died.
Was it like
one of the nurses told me I'd get a lawyer if I was you, but there was other complications that set in also.
Again, it goes to that question goes to the difficulty of proving a malpractice case in general. The malpractice cases are when you're in the hospital, you're treating with a doctor, you've got other problems, then there may be a negligence error. The question is, what are your damages? If your damages are only being in the hospital for an additional couple of days and taking antibiotics, most likely those damages are not going to be sufficient to pursue a claim because the malpractice claims are significant.
All right, so there you go, and that's just a few minutes of questions. You can imagine how busy Jed's day is, but it's interesting. And again, it sounds like the best defense is a good offense, or vice versa. Whichever it is, don't go in without some.